If you're a writer, odds are you want your output to look like this. But when writer's block enters the picture, our brains can look a lot more like this. So, how do we beat writer's block? Writer's block is the bane of any writer's existence. If it were up to us, we would love to just sit down and write a masterpiece every time we touch a pen or a keyboard. However, setting this type of expectation is both unrealistic and it can be a hindrance to the creative process. So before we dive into how to solve writer's block, let's first look at 3 ways we inflict writer's block on ourselves. We all know life can be busy, but it's really hard to write something if you're not writing in general. Like a muscle, your brain needs to be worked and warmed up to maintain its strength. So finding adequate time to sit down and write is a big part of combating writer's block. Just sitting down with a pen or at a keyboard is a huge step in the right direction. Most writers write to be read, and sometimes it's the fear of criticism that can paralyze you. When you invest time into generating ideas and creating content that you want to resonate with a reader, getting shot down can really stunt your drive and creative flow. As much as it may sting, don't quit. Use criticism as fuel for improvement, turning it into productivity and creativity. It's understandable that you want your ideas to flow out of your mind and onto the paper perfectly the first time. This, however, is not likely to happen. As with anything else, practice and repetition are what turns out quality, not speed. And oftentimes, because you can't get it perfect the first go, you end up never starting. We've all been there. You write the first sentence or the title, only to delete it and start over. Then another, only to delete that one too. This is a vicious cycle that is easy to fall into and keeps you from getting into a flow state. Just let the words come as they are. You can always go back during the editing process and make changes. Your writing is not going to be perfect the first time around, and that's okay. The key is to allow your mind to run with the topic. Write down or type whatever comes to your mind. There will be time to perfect it later. Now that we understand what's getting in our way, let's look at 7 quick tips for how we can start to write more efficiently on a regular basis. First up, go for a walk. Sometimes getting away from the desk and into some fresh air can be the best possible solution to your grogginess. It does wonders for your mental health and cognitive abilities. Want to jumpstart your creativity when you're only halfway through the day? Lock your computer, step away from the desk, and go outside for a walk. Whether you walk for your lunch break or take shorter breaks throughout the day, walking is a great way to boost your energy and set a positive tone for yourself. Our next tip is to get your blood flowing. While this is similar to going for a walk, this solution implies dialing up the intensity a few notches. This could be in the form of an impromptu workout or a short run. If you have an exercise bike, treadmill, or rowing machine, jump on one of those for something as short as 10 or 15 minutes. You'll be glad you did. Not only is it good for your body physically, it's good for your mental health, and it will help you to get back to being creative. Oftentimes, fresh ideas will start to flow during a workout break that you never would have found sitting at your desk. Tip number 3 is to change your environment. Changing your environment could be as simple as moving from your home office to your kitchen, or weather permitting, sitting outside. If you want to get away from your house or office, then maybe try to find a local coffee shop or a public park. Moving away from your primary workspace allows both your eyes and brain to reset, which sometimes is all that's needed to spark that creativity back into a blazing fire. Our next tip is to listen to music. How many times have you been going through your day when a song comes on that immediately boosts your mood? All of a sudden, you feel as though you can conquer the world and take on whatever it has to throw at you. Listening to your music while writing and creating content will put you in a focused and creative state of mind. We recommend building a playlist of music that gives you a healthy dose of dopamine and motivation, but doesn't distract. Spotify has an endless supply of pre-built playlists for those who don't get quite as particular about their music. Tip number 5 is to brew some coffee. You ever walk into a coffee shop and take a second or two to simply inhale the aroma? Those scents alone can be enough to give you the pick-me-up you're looking for. Whether at home or your local coffee shop, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee always seems to break through that mental barrier, contributing to writer's block. Coffee does have its benefits for the writer and can get you one step closer to that creative flow state. There have been several studies done proving that coffee can increase physical endurance by providing you with an energy boost and a cognitive boost, both of which a writer needs. If coffee isn't your cup of tea, then maybe try a cup of tea. Next is bullet point lists. The writers at Kalepin have found that using bullet points or outlines is an extremely effective way to kickstart a new article. Instead of trying to come up with structured content right out of the gate, try putting all your ideas down into some sort of list. This is one of the easiest ways to get started with developing your content. Before you know it, you've got an entire list of ideas that you can start to develop around. Those bullet points can be turned into titles and headings within your content, sort of like the title cards in this video. It's a win-win situation. If you want to take it a step further, you can try to use and arrange post-it notes to create a flowchart. And lastly, create a routine that emphasizes focus. If you follow the 6 steps above, you can begin to put an end to writer's block and create a daily routine that'll maximize your creative flow. Making that routine means minimizing distractions, or in some cases, shutting them down completely. Email and online chats are a typical example of this. Today, with many of us working from home, businesses rely heavily on email and chat to stay in touch with their team. While these are great tools for communication, they can also serve as a distraction to the creative process. So take the necessary steps to make sure you're in an environment where you can focus wholly on the task at hand. So that's it. Those were our 7 tips for how to minimize or completely remove writer's block. However, making wholesale changes all at once can be difficult, and nobody's perfect. So start small. Writer's block takes time and persistence to overcome. Try a few of these approaches out. The more that you can reliably pull off, the better off you'll be on your journey to getting rid of writer's block. Just remember to have grace for yourself along the way.